Welcome, everybody, to the show. Vince Perri here. This is Beyond the Claim, your business broker and exit strategist. And today we have a very special guest, Victoria Shepard of Welcome Place Marketing. We talk my favorite subject, AI, marketing, and everything there is to know. If you're a business owner and you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing on social media and marketing, you're going to want to watch this show. Before you watch it, though, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with as many people as possible, and follow me on social media. But let's get into it right now in 3, in 2, in 1. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Vince Perri, your business broker and exit strategist, and I am excited because we're going to talk about something I love to talk about, social media, marketing, and all that good stuff. We are here with my good friend, Victoria Shepard. She is the CEO and founder of Welcome Place Marketing. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk to you guys about all this nerdy stuff.
I'm so happy to have you on. You are such a sweet person, Victoria. Like, you're always willing to help. You're always willing to give advice. You're always willing to do whatever you can to help people with their marketing, because you know that it is I don't want to say topic of discussion, but you know it's definitely an issue with business owners. It's just very difficult. It's very complicated to them. They know how to do the thing that they do, but they don't know how to do the marketing aspect of it.
Yeah, especially with people, like in our networking, we've got air conditioning people. They're too busy fixing air conditioners to actually do marketing. And so they're like, I know what I need to do it, but how can I do it at scale? And so that's kind of where I'm coming in.
And they make such big mistakes too, because they go and this is not a knock on any marketing company, right? They go and they just hire a marketing company.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, we don't see results. It's not working. And I always say it's because they don't understand the actual marketing. It's like anything else. If you're going to start an AC business, you usually start as a one-man show, one-woman show, one-person show. And you know how to do the thing. And then you can start hiring people because you've already done the thing. When it comes to marketing and posting on social media and posting on YouTube and doing all, I think as a business owner, find time to do it yourself.
Yeah, find time to do it yourself. I think you've got to learn the bare minimum, and I think that's unfortunate. And, we talk about KPIs, key performance indicators. Unfortunately, those are changing with AI overview. But I really love teaching, the small business owner or the executive, the bare basics of marketing. So when they are going to hire an agency, they're not going to be hired by snake oil salesmen. There's so many people in our community, they'll come to me and I'll be like, well, what are you holding them accountable for? I'm not getting leads. And
they don't
like,
know.
And I'm like, no, they don't know. And I'm like, well, where's the reporting? Oh, we haven't asked for reporting. I'm like, well, here. So then I guide them and I'm like, these are, you're not bidding on these keywords, or, there's just so many nuances that they're not doing, or even just like the small low hanging fruit, which they could be doing. And, that's another thing is helping our community, or teaching, the BNI team that we're a part of is utilizing ChatGPT or AI for scaling content, even emails. I mean, the simplest thing, analyzing data, taking screenshots, uploading them into GPT, and then just saying, hey, what are the outputs? Obviously, you've got to look at them, make sure it's not hallucinating, which I love. That's what when the robots are lying, or are not lying, making mistakes, they call it hallucination. So every time I make a mistake, I just say I'm hallucinating. That's what I say.
I always laugh because my wife goes off on her ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, get it right. Why don't you understand? I already explained this to you.
No, it's a definite. And it's funny because I know, like, my friends' parents, my friends who have kids, they're actually having conversations with ChatGPT now, and it's really interesting, like having a day-to-day conversation. But going back to businesses and conversation, what I would talk to people about, like, just getting started in AI, just start having a conversation with ChatGPT, Perplexity of, hey, this is what I do from day to day. This is really frustrating or manual. What can I do? Just start asking questions, and then you can actually have a dialogue with it, and it can actually provide some really great insight on way to scale or how to improve clarity. For me, I'm getting into custom GPTs, where I have a client who has a certain brand voice. They have certain things they say and they don't say. They're in a certain vertical. I work a lot in healthcare. And so I've created this custom GPT that creates content based right on the keywords they're trying to target, their brand and their style guide. And it's done in half the time.
Right.
I'm still having to look at it, and my team is still having to make sure that it's still authentic, that it reads properly. but it does help you so much, and I just feel people are kind of frozen because they don't know where to start. And I think just having the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell business owners all the time is that, like just learn how to post on social media, learn how to just do an ad.
Mhm.
Like when I started the YouTube channel, I shot it myself, I edited it
Yeah.
myself, I posted it myself. And I only did that for probably about 3 or 4 months before I was able to find somebody to help me actually do it.
Yeah.
But do it yourself. The ads, understand what return on ad spend is, understand what
Absolutely.
engagement or is it engagement or something like that.
Yeah.
Understand like all those numbers. I posted an ad before. I failed miserably, but at least I understood the process behind it and what it does, so that you
Yeah.
could keep track of these companies, or at least you could keep track of an employee that's actually doing it for you.
Yeah, speaking of failing miserably in YouTube,
Are you
um
talking about me?
oh, no, 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 I'm talking about me,
Okay.
because it's all about, fail fast.
Hmm.
So I was working for a big healthcare company, and, we just rolled out a big campaign,
Hmm.
and, they left the spend up to me, and by mistake,
I saw this in the notes.
I did a little bit of an overspend by a few $1,000s, and I thought I was gonna lose my job over it, and, luckily I did not, but in fact, what had happened was it got into the right hands that NPR picked it up and, like,
Wow.
37 other publications picked it up. So, while I got my hand slapped, they were like, "Well, this is amazing. Now you're gonna have to what are you gonna do next for us, Victoria?" You
Yeah.
know? So, while, I'm glad I had that mistake, and I'm glad there were people that were very forgiving. I'm glad that was a really great outcome from
Yeah.
it, so you never know what's gonna happen, but yeah, I will always remember that day.
Victoria, tell me a little bit about yourself. I haven't even introduced yourself yet.
Oh,
Tell me a little bit
yeah.
about yourself, and also tell me a little bit about your what are you passionate about? Because, and I only ask it because I'm kind of expecting an answer, is because I just know that you teach so much.
Yeah,
You're always helping. You're giving away free advice all the
I
time, like,
know.
hey, do this, do that. So tell me about yourself. Tell me about
Sure.
your company, and tell me about like what's your like passion here.
Sure. Yeah, so I started Welcome Place Marketing, almost a year ago. I've been in, corporate America for many, many years, and, I kind of stepped away from that for a little bit, from a caregiving perspective, and also, my husband was like, you're he gave me the opportunity. He's like, go do this, go spread your wings." And so I started this opportunity where I help small business owners, executives, even organizations, even sales teams utilize not just like LinkedIn for thought leadership, but really helping AI consultancy as a way. We are in the age of AI, and everyone's saying what's going on with our website. We're losing momentum, we're losing clicks, we're not getting leads, what's going on? And so I'm kind of having to rephrase the KPIs for them, train them on how to pivot and not just be more than your website, because you're not more than your website. Vince, for one example, you are on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube, and what I guarantee, if there we went into this tool, one of my friends, Dixon Jones, created this amazing tool called Wayk, and it basically shows you put in your domain or your brand, and it shows you how the LLMs are seeing you.
What's an
So
LM?
a large language model. So like
Okay.
ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, all these other ones. So while you could say, "Hey, I do have a page on exit strategy," um, you might not have enough information in like the digital sphere for the LLM to understand that. So what you have to do is be everywhere. And it's about all about expertise, experience, authoritative, and trust. EEAT. That's kind of what we're having to do. And yes, use AI from a scalable perspective, but also at the very basic, you've got to be trustworthy and you have to be building trust. Because uh,
How does it tell the difference if you're a trustworthy person or
because
not?
I mean, you're the person, you're the brand, right? So you as you're doing your due diligence, you've got to be making sure that you're producing like quality, trustworthy content that actually is no BS, because people are going to call it out. And then, I mean, there's certain signals, like if you're on LinkedIn, if you're, within the social media sphere where you're in high authoritative domains, if you're a doctor, you're going to be on health grades. So it's all about positioning yourself as the thought leader.
How does the LLM determine whether this is a trustworthy person or not? Is it based on like negative comments and stuff like
So
that,
yeah,
or?
so I mean, it can ingest from reviews. So that's why
Mm.
Google Business Profile, if you have it, making sure that you have a Google Business Profile if you are a location or even a provider, a doctor. Making sure those reviews are great and accurate. God forbid you end up on Reddit. You want to be there as
I got a referral from Reddit
but
once.
that's
Yeah.
that's amazing
Yeah, I know.
because Reddit is its
Brutal.
own beast. It's brutal, and it's one of those partnerships with Google. So if you're doing like a long query, and then you're probably going to show Reddit. So I think it's about just building your street cred on the digital space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What are some of the things that you suggest in regards to actually doing that and becoming a thought leader in your business?
Well, first of all, don't be a don't be an asshole.
Yes. Yes.
Don't be a snake oil salesman because you will get called out. I
Yeah.
think. I think what I do, teaching people how to fish.
Yeah.
I think that's where I come through is I will educate people. I'm always open to community, and helping people where I can. I know people are having problems with marketing or business development. And I can come in and saying, all right, we've got a girl. I know someone that's in healthcare, and she's like, I'm burning the candles at both ends. And I said, you spend so much money and so much time on answering phones and giving free advice. Why don't you just become a healthcare consultant?
Hmm.
And she's going to start doing that.
A question I get asked a lot is about the personal brand and the business brand and differentiating that and making it this and making it that.
You
And
are your brand.
that's what I told. So I was meeting my little group of public adjuster masterminds the other day, and they were asking me about it, like, "Oh, where should I post this? Should I post it on my business page or should I post it on my page?" And what I explained to him was that you have to understand that like you are your business and you are your brand. I always say post on your personal page first. People think their personal page is this personal thing. Like you could post your business stuff on your personal
Yeah.
page. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do that and only sprinkle it in with a little bit of like if you want like your kids and stuff like that, but people like that.
Yeah.
People like to see your morning routine. People like to see you working out. People like to see what you're eating for dinner just because it's relatable. And then on your profile in your personal page, put a link to your business page. And in my
Hmm.
opinion, you may disagree, but the business page to me is a little bit easier for you to automate where you could just put
Yes.
some like infographics and different stuff like that so that all
It's a
people want to know you and
yeah.
then they want to know a little bit about your business. Oh, that's what he does. Oh, I actually need that. Okay, I like him, so I'm going to go ahead and use that business.
Yeah, I mean, it's an example our marketers use. If you go and look at the CEO of Microsoft on LinkedIn, you'll see he has way more followers than Microsoft's actual company page does.
Right, because it's a boring
It's
page.
a boring page, and
Right.
people want to connect with the person, with the human.
Yes.
So even though they've got people doing it for you, you're still got your voice, your authenticity, if you're engaging, if you're being active on LinkedIn, if you're not just setting and forgetting it. But I mean, I would say if you had to set it and forget it because there's only so many hours in the day,
Yeah.
schedule your content on your company page.
Yep.
And, I've been doing, I just had a conversation with I do contracting work where, I first thought, posting using LinkedIn's automation tool, you'd get dinged. Well, it's not about that. It's about just being active on there
Mhm.
and being engaging, not setting and forgetting it. So if you have to schedule content, schedule it on both pages, on your company and your personal, but make sure you're engaging with your personal.
Got it.
Otherwise, you're not really going to get a lot of impressions or engagement, because you don't look like you're a two-way conversation. You're
Yeah.
just one way. So
Okay, well, you're not going to expect this turn on the show here. I'm going to get personal on what I want you to help me, and I believe in the information that you could help me with. Maybe we could help the audience as well. And I was asking you about this before we started. My YouTube show.
yeah.
What do you think's going on there? Where I've been doing it for 5 years, and I'm just now going to break 10,000 subscribers. The view count is not at all where I want it. I mean, the view count isn't bad. It still
Mhm.
continuously goes up. We probably we go anywhere from 3 to 5 new subscribers per day. I don't know how many views we get per day, but sometimes there's some shows where there's like 50 views and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
what is it that we were talking about before where like with AI being involved and with algorithms and stuff like that, what are some of the things that could cause somebody to not get the engagement that they want? And what
Um,
the hell's wrong with my YouTube channel?
First of all, I would go into your analytics. I would look at the posts. I would even just if you can't get like a CSV file, which I'm
Mhm.
sure you can,
Yeah.
of your analytics, upload that and saying what topics are getting the most engagement, right? And then create a strategy. Um,
That's good. You know what I recommended people to do, and we did it when we first started the YouTube show, and it worked. Is I would type in public adjuster and see what drops
the auto,
down.
yeah, that's another
Yeah,
way to do it.
yeah.
Just going in there, finding I do audits and then I'm actually looking at what days, just because you post Monday is this day and Tuesday is
Yeah.
this day, doesn't mean it's the right strategy. You got to like figure out what are people consuming? What do they want to consume? How many comments are on a video? What are like go back and look at the top 10 or top 50
Mm.
videos that got the most engagements or the most views. And obviously there's AI algorithms that you need to like put on a, just keep in mind, but then say, okay, this worked. Why did it work? And then try to create some similar topics around that. Same with LinkedIn. Why did I spend so much time on this carousel post, but I didn't get the response? Well, go in and see what people like, and then it's easy enough. People. You can create a content calendar from that.
Right, right.
And then even if you want to go into your website, if you're posting lots of blog posts or articles, but you're getting thousands and thousands of impressions, but very little control click through rate. Well, that's a gauge for zero click, meaning it's showing up in AI algorithms. So we don't want to say keywords anymore. It's queries. We don't want to optimize for keywords. We want to optimize for queries and
What is
intent.
that?
A query is a long tail keyword, or, like, why do I have a sore throat? What are the symptoms of the flu? Query based, and also intent. So what are your intentions with that's where I'm just learning about prompt engineering. People can just write there's all these cool little apps within ChatGPT that you can optimize your prompt. But one thing people don't forget is like, what is my intent with this prompt? What am I trying to gauge? What am I trying to do?
Mm.
So the more that you specify, so going back to your YouTube, I would analyze the content that has been top performing over the past, let's say, year or even 2 years and say, okay, well, this topic worked. Let's
Mm.
try to recycle that, repurpose that. Another thing that you're doing, are you promoting your two YouTube videos? Are you putting them on LinkedIn? Are you putting them in a newsletter? Are you just posting them on YouTube and just hoping for the best? Well, if you are, then you probably need to be thinking of other ways to promote your content. If you're investing a lot of time in it, another way you can do it is you have a video, recycle it into a blog post and put the video at the bottom. You already have the
Mm.
content. You have 5 years worth of content.
Mhm.
Throw that all on your website. And because some people consume content, I like to watch YouTube, but depends on the topic. If it's travel, if it's cooking. But if it's learning, I much like to read it. So make sure your content is digestible for people that like to read as well as like to watch.
Right.
So I would, figure that out, and experiment.
What's more important? The what's the word I'm looking for? Like how like a lot of posts
No.
or SEO and your description and your thumbnail and stuff like that. What's somebody because I saw on social media just the other day or just like I post a reel on Instagram 4 times a day.
Well, that's interesting about Instagram. Recently, they're being indexed in search engines now.
Oh,
So,
wow.
not
That's
recently,
huge for
but
the
like,
Instagram people.
yeah. So not just everybody.
That's the only reason why I got into YouTube
Yeah, it's
because I
now.
knew that it would go up on
Yeah,
Google.
and it's great because what's the second biggest search engine? Google,
Yeah, I tell
YouTube,
people all the
right?
time, people YouTube more than they Google.
Exactly. So, but there's discussion about like YouTube cannibalizing your content, but hey, you're there,
What do you mean cannibalizing?
So you would show up like your video would show up before your website because who cares, right?
Yeah,
So,
as long as there's a description and a link to your website and
exactly.
your YouTube
Yeah, yeah,
channel.
yeah. No, like I'm, for your YouTube is making sure your description's optimized. Like it's got, like the ticker, what information is at what point, calls to action. I mean, that's another thing. People don't optimize their content for calls to action. Like, what do you want me to do?
How do you keep track of all this stuff for somebody like
I
do you work with individual business owners or small businesses that already have a marketing team or both?
Both. So I have a 1099 with a healthcare marketing company. So we deal with multi-location providers in dentistry, behavioral health, dermatology, and the um, the educational. I want to say it was healthcare and science were the first ones hit with AI overview. So we felt it first because I mean, every people like to Google their symptoms. So all of my providers, they're losing the traffic. So we're having to come up with all these they're technical things, entity mapping, schema markup, and I could,
Holy moly.
I exactly, but all these little nuances that were a part of SEO and technical SEO are even more and more important. One thing that we're telling our providers is make sure you have when you have like a bio page,
Mhm.
people just think, oh, it's like for HR. Well, now I'm telling doctors where you should have been doing it is have your own page dedicated to that one provider. And that provider has where they went to school, about them, make it a little bit personal, their credentials, their certificates, any accreditations, FAQs. So FAQs, like how they can tie into their symptoms or what they treat, and all that a video, all that testimonials, all put that on one page, and it just will help the large language models and AI overview and Google whatever algorithm updates kind of understand who you are, the entity of like who you are, what you do, how you solve. So I do it for Vince's and I do it for
No, I
organizations.
have a team. I have 3 people that work for
Yeah.
me. But I'm sitting here and I'm getting to know you more now than I
Mhm.
ever have before. And I'm like, Victoria, I'm gonna have to bring you on.
Yeah.
Like legit.
I'm really got into and my supervisor at my 1099, he is a wizard and he and I just really gelled because we really got into like context engineering, prompt engineering. I mean, I'm doing Python script with ChatGPT to help create custom Colab notebooks. And for example, Colab is a place where you can create you can put Python on this Google Colab on a notebook, and then through coding you can get a result. And in real simple terms, for example, I got a video the other day from a meeting that I had with one of my clients, and they had the recording, and they just gave me the raw footage. And I was so frustrated because it's typical, like you got to Fathom or Fireflies, they'll give you, the
The
transcript with
transcript,
this,
yeah.
and I didn't get any of that. So I was like, I wonder how I can do this.
Mhm.
So through some coding, through ChatGPT, I was able to create this notebook that I was able to upload a video, download the
That's great.
transcript, and then automatically get notes from it
Mhm.
within like that.
Mhm.
So versus being frustrated having to watch video and take notes, I was like, wait a second. I wonder how I can, how can, so yeah. And then reading a lot about, like I said, it's all about the prompt, context engineering, prompt engineering. And I eat it for breakfast. I've been in the digital space for over 15 years, but I've really loved it. I started out, I think one of the questions like, how did you start out? I was a faux painter. Like when I got my degree, I did decorative murals and paintings for high
You are
residentials.
creative, heart and through
Oh
and
yeah.
through.
And all my friends were having these 9 to 5s and they got paid, and I was like, "Huh, that's kinda interesting." And so I fell into a job with a manufacturer. I mean, they did checkout counters for Publix and Kroger, stainless steel fixtures, like very the boring stuff. And so, um, they had lots of sales rep around the country selling their products, and I was like, "Wait a second." I was like, "That's a lot of work." And I said, what are they doing on the digital space to save time? And they had a website, and I was like, oh, let me see what I can do. And this is just when this HubSpot, I think some people are familiar with
Yeah.
CRM, and they just started out. They were a startup then, and I was kind of one of their first guinea pigs. And they taught me everything. And I optimized their website. And 6 months later, I knew I wanted to do this as a career, search and did the digital marketing. So I got an opportunity at Linkshare, which is now Rakuten. And I left on good terms. They called me 6 months later and they're like, "Victoria, Rachel Ray called us."
Whoa.
She wanted a checkout counter for one of her cooking shows, I guess just for a bit. And nobody in the manufacturing space in stainless steel or in this type of vertical, with checkout counters and all these different fixtures were really optimizing their website for that. But Edwards Manufacturing was. And so I was like, "Okay, all right, I think I'm in the right space."
And when you say
So
checkout counter, you mean a digital checkout counter?
no, 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 like a literal, like you're at Publix, like a checkout. They were
Oh,
looking for a checkout counter for
uh-huh.
one of their, and they were like, "Yeah, Rachel raised people called us
Wow.
just because they wanted something for her show, her
Yeah.
cooking show." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'm in the right space, you know?" And
So what's the strategy for a small business owner looking to get more of a digital presence? Like when you walk in, what's something that what do you do? What do you help? I know I'm sure it's case by case, but
yeah, it's case by case and best on like where they are as far as like education.
especially like the older business owners that
Yeah.
they're just like, I'm not gonna get in front of a camera. I'm not gonna post on social media. Like, what do you do with those people?
Um, you then start
There's a lot.
writing.
There's a lot of them in our chapter.
Yeah, there's then start writing, start writing and start figuring out how you can be your own thought leader. What are there ways that you can educate people in your space?
Think outside the box.
Think outside the box. I speak at conferences. It's not something I like to do, but it's something that I'm passionate about because I'm like teaching people how to fish and it challenges me.
You know where I made a mistake?
Where
Which I'm happy I'm not making that mistake again. And I mean, it's not a mistake. It's a learning experience, but also it ended up being something great. But I think where I made a mistake was I had named myself on the show. It was a commercial claims show,
okay.
and I was a commercial claims advocate. And the reason why I named myself that and the show is because I wanted more commercial claims. Big, large losses, big
Yeah.
fires and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
When I started it initially, I was going to target the consumer, right? Get more claims is what I wanted.
Correct.
But literally after a week,
No one
like
knows what a commercial claim is from a
nobody
consumer
knows what a
size.
commercial claim is. Nobody cares about insurance claims until
So
it
it
happens
happens
to
to
you,
me.
right? It just happened, right? You don't even think about what do you care, right?
Like, I don't
About
need a public adjuster.
exactly. So what happened after a week, immediately I changed and I started just talking to the public adjuster. You know how they say when you're talking, you should be talking to that particular
Yeah.
target. I literally changed within a week and I just said, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I know everything there is to know about this industry. I'm going to just help public adjusters. But
Mhm.
to be honest, what ended up happening is I never really got that much more work. I never really got much
No.
more claims. It gave me thought leadership. It gave me authority in the
Yeah.
industry as an expert in the industry. And it turned into a whole other business because ultimately, I've
You're
got
pivoting and doing what you're
books
doing.
and courses and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which was great. But the mistake that I don't want to make now in launching the exit strategy and business brokering is I want to stick with the actual person that's going to use my service and buy my product.
So I think that's where another thing that you should be doing, if you haven't done it already, is who is your ICP, your ideal customer profile.
Over $1 million in revenue and over 3 years in business.
Okay, there you go. So at
Mhm.
least you know that much.
Mhm.
And making sure that you are figuring out what keeps them up at night.
I haven't even done any of that research. I do have quite through ChatGPT research. I've got some documents that we've pretty much laid out. Or I
Yeah,
have
but
to,
even their demo, like
yeah,
male, female, if it's a male, if it's a family, like who are they? Name them. Create an actual ideal customer profile.
yeah,
She is, Victoria, and she has X million dollars in investments, and she has a business where,
yeah.
and a lot of people, I think, with your business, they probably don't even know that they can exit or
I was just talking. The guest I had before you, Tyler, he's a good friend of mine, and he has never had. I mean, he's got a very successful company. He's never even had evaluated.
yeah,
Uh,
people don't even know that.
no.
And actually, one of you've interviewed Stuart, and one of our podcasts, we're talking about M&A, because from the digital presence, like if you're going to do an M&A, just make sure your digital house is in line too. So you might not evaluate it, but it does help where you've got good reviews and you've
Oh
got a
no, it's
good
huge.
digital
We call it so.
strategy.
One of the important capitals that there's four kinds of capitals. One of them is social capital, and social capital is making sure that you have a brand presence, making sure that your community looks at you positively, making sure
Hmm.
you have good Google My Business reviews. We sold a company about 6 months ago, completely owner dependent, two staff members, but it had over 1,000 5-star Google My Business reviews.
And that is liquid gold. That is gold.
We
People,
sold it for top value
yeah,
just because of that. His
yeah,
leads are coming in like crazy, like just from his Google business. He says all he did, I asked him about it. He said, yeah, no, I just went all in on making sure that every person that I met, they gave me a review. I made sure I did a good job. And I got one bad review one time and I called her and I chewed her out or whatever. And she took
yeah.
it off or yeah.
No, that's another thing with small businesses. They're like, Victoria, what can I do today? And I said, focus for our BNI people, make sure your Google business profile is up to date
And
and
preferably
your
5 stars.
and 5 stars, or people forget, like, in the conversion, where in the conversation. So if you're a painter or you're a plumber, you've just finished the service, the customer is
Right there.
happy. "Hey, I'm gonna go to my truck really quickly to, I don't know, make something up,
Hmm.
you know, while you're while I go, can you I'm gonna send you a link. Do you mind giving me a 5-star review right now?" So they're there in the moment,
Hmm.
because if you're gonna get a text an hour later, you've missed it.
Yep.
If you're gonna get an email the day later,
Hmm.
no, it's all about, and I tell doctors that all the time. People are waiting in your waiting room, or you
Oh
know,
yeah.
um, or you're just finished seeing the provider
Hmm.
and you're happy and you're at the checkout. Have the people that are checking you out saying, "Hey, can you scan this QR code really quickly? We really rely on the business getting
Or if you get a
reviews."
bad review, call the client and like say something, see what you can do to get it removed.
Prevent that. So
Yes.
if you've got an unhappy customer, see
Yes.
what you can do to
Yes.
prevent that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a lot harder, because people will read 1,000 5-star reviews,
No, they
and
wknow.
that
They're only gonna read.
they'll
No, they're
know, but
not.
that one
Yeah.
review that's
Yes.
got a 1 star,
Yes. I go when I look at like a restaurant. I don't even look at the 5 star
you
reviews. I
go
go
so
straight to
right
the
to
yes.
this, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about LinkedIn because you know a lot about LinkedIn. Tell me about sort of how important it is right now to have a good LinkedIn, especially if you're a business owner.
It's really important because, especially, I go back to AI overviews. It's one of those trust indicators where first of all, it's a free business card.
Yeah.
People are not using it. I don't care what business you're in.
I have been reaching out to fellow CPAs, certified exit
Hmm.
planning advisors. I just got my certification, and I just wanted to reach out to as many as I could so I can get an idea of how they run their business because I'm
Yeah.
still learning all of this and I'm still growing a business. And they all, every single one of them, yeah, I looked at your LinkedIn. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't even look at theirs. And they're just like, yeah, I looked at your LinkedIn. Yeah, I looked at your LinkedIn. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. So when I'm engaging with people, I'm connecting with people and make sure, like, have they been engaged? Do they have posts? Because I don't want to connect with someone like that's not there. Do they have something nice, like, good to say, important to say, something that's interesting for me from, like, what I'm focusing on? And so I think having a banner, and even don't have, that's a free business card there. There's some conversation. I've talked with some other LinkedIn experts, and I'm talking about it from, like, a business perspective, but some people say, they have um, better results where that banner has a mixture of business and profession and personal. So it's got, it's not just like with a big call to action. Making sure your headshot, have a good headshot, you've got a good headline. It tells you what to do, a call to action. Make sure your about section has a lot of personal insight, but also, like, your social proof, meaning, like, how much dollars have you made? How much hours have you saved people? How much money have you saved people? That's all, like,
Mm,
social proof,
interesting.
putting that on your website homepage. That's all social proof, the data points. That's really important. And then I also help people with resumes, because people will, when they help with resumes, it's not sometimes not ATS compliant, applicant tracking system.
Ow.
So they'll be like, they're a graphics designer and it'll be, like, really pretty, but, like, the ATS isn't going to read it. So, and then people decide I'm going to apply for this job with this resume that I applied for that resume with that job. And I'm like, you got to customize the resume for the job and optimize the resume for the keywords and figure out what your career accomplishments tie into the job. So I know I'm going off that, but going back to LinkedIn is the same points, is making sure the data points are in there. Um, Making sure, you've got any case studies, any, no noteworthy things in there as far as awards, certifications. I'm huge on recommendations on LinkedIn. When you see people don't really ask for that. And that's something that's my Google business profile review, is making sure that when I have a great interaction with someone, I said, "Hey, can you write me a recommendation on LinkedIn?"
What makes you different, Victoria? And I ask because you're in my BNI group and we have a marketing person in our BNI
Yeah.
group, but you guys work so well together. Why are
Hmm.
you different than like any other, say, marketing agency?
Well, I am Victoria Shepherd. No one else is me.
That's true.
So that's one thing. I I lead with integrity and with education first.
Mhm.
I would rather you hire me as on a consulting basis versus on like an execution basis because I want to teach you so in 6 months you don't need me anymore.
Interesting.
Because then I've done my job. It's very hard work to be posting on LinkedIn and doing this busy work stuff, especially with all the things that are going on with me. So I'd rather in a capacity have be in an educational seat for somebody, educating them or educating their team, educating their sales team. So I'm leaving you with the knowledge instead of you saying, "Oh my God, where's Victoria? I need her." After we've done the engagement, you can definitely utilize me as a resource if there's things have changed. But I would like to, like I said, I would rather teach people how to fish and let them experiment on their own and let them figure it out because and I've done this my whole life, like teaching people how to do content marketing or teaching people how to do SEO. Like when you get the aha moment and you get
Mm.
people like super jazzed about it, then they see it and they see the case studies. I've done it for a couple of our BNI members. Even our air conditioning guy. He had all this engagement and he's got all these connections, and now he actually shows up for his name, and that was something that didn't happen for before.
Got it.
So yeah.
What is the future of marketing? So if you have to bet on one marketing shift in the next 5 years that will make or break small businesses, what would it be?
So I've talked this with my boss a while. I think it's coming down. So people are already changing their search behavior, right? They're using ChatGPT. So
Yes,
I'm
that is
thinking
weird.
it's going to be um, a website free world where you're just maybe using large language models to get information that's going to be hugely personalized based on what you're looking for. It's going to be really hard for business owners, I think, to there's going to obviously going to be ways of monetization. I think there'll always be a way. How that's going to happen, I know paid search is getting super expensive, but I think coming down to trustworthy, going back to being
Wow.
trustworthy, I think that you know, you've got to do your homework. You're always going to be your brand, whether you've got to have great people working for you too. Um, but I kind of see it being like a website free
Where
world.
does the website rank nowadays in the importance of having
It's
one?
still important for sure, but going back to like
Does
you,
any I don't
yeah.
honestly, I don't even look at a website as often as I
Yeah, but if the website's not there, then it's a lot harder to rank with, you still
so the
need
website's just ranking purposes, not
I think your
because
website still needs to have pages of things that you services that you provide and, especially on many industries, I still think that's important, but you have to be in so many other places too. PR, LinkedIn, all these videos, you have to be in different types of mediums.
but if I search Vince Perry, all of my social stuff comes up. Like my LinkedIn comes up, my Instagram comes up, my YouTube comes up.
Yeah, but then what's your business model? Like what's your exit strategy?
It is now. Yeah, we just recently switched. So
So
there's a
X
there's a there's a transition going on
so if
there.
I'm looking for exit
I ain't
strategists.
coming up.
So that's where your website comes in.
Are we getting to a point where if you SEO or if you optimize your social media profiles, that if someone were to search exit strategy, then Vince Perry's stuff would come
That's where
up?
I'm telling people you need to be on LinkedIn and making sure your profile is optimized for those queries, you know? I don't like saying keywords because we've been so keyword focused all this while and it's really about the query, the question, what are you answering? So yeah, so I think you need to focus on if I'm looking for you, what am I searching for? That's always going to be the case. But why am I gonna pick you? So if I find you, I find Vince Perry, but I find another person in that's doing the same thing, I'm gonna go into ChatGPT and be like, who's better? So you need to make
Oh,
sure like you've got your reviews, going back to what we said in the beginning, make sure your reviews, making sure everything from a digital perspective is in line.
Victoria, I've got no more questions. That was fantastic. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Is there anything that you want to add before we close the show?
No, just look for me, Tall Chick Vic
Tall chick Vic. Yeah, you
or
guys, she's sitting down. She's tall.
Victoria Shepherd on LinkedIn. Welcome Place Marketing.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on,
You're
Victoria.
welcome.
All right.